four-wheeler, we want our public lands, and they're being destroyed, especially in Montana. And to the point where you can't even walk on some of the trails anymore. They're so torn up. So I think we need to find that common ground where we all come together and fight for those public lands, no matter what.
Doesn't matter what use
we have in that. We need to come together and fight for that common good.
Yeah, there's so many people out there working to try to bridge those gaps and get people like you who care about that, who have those values. And so, you know, there's so many people out there that care, and I think it's about linking up with the right organization for yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, you know, shopping for organizations.
There's so many.
There's so many that are doing some great work, and you know, you get, whether it's Sportsmen or whether it's snowmobiling or whatever organization is plugging in at a political level, it's important that you find the one that fits for you. Like I said, I'm a member of like 7 different sportsman organizations, and it's one of those where you're like, okay, well, I like what this one does, I want to support this one, I like the message over here. The best thing you can do, especially when you're feeling extra powerless, is join one of these. Find the updates, pay that $35 yearly fee, and you know, it's what, you join 7 organizations, you spend maybe $200, $250 a year. And do you know how far that goes if everybody does that? It's incredible. And so you have people that are, you know, and this is like a shameless plug for my own job in that sense, but it really is. You have people that are working for your voice, and you have a place to like plug in, to find out, you know, that canned letter that has the talking points to send to your congressman or your senator or your state legislator. And to find that, it's easier to plug in that way. I know Montana Wildlife Federation does a great job in that sense. I've seen them just really engage on the public land issues, and have been, you know, following sort of from afar. I'm a Montana born, but I live in Wyoming, so I always kind of like look over at Montana like, I love you guys, keep doing awesome work.
Well, that's another cool part, is like, if you can't do 7 or as many as you'd like, right? Like, you'd be surprised at how often and how well these organizations work together. Like, you know, I love that.
If you don't want to pay, volunteer.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always looking for someone to set a table, be there on their banquet nights. There's tons of organizations, especially in Helena, always looking for volunteers. If you want to volunteer for 7 of them, or you want to pay and, you know, just get the magazine subscription.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah. Either way, it's rewarding, and they're always so grateful for you being there.
Yeah, somebody like having that super volunteer, I would almost rather have the person that like calls me up, is like, hey, I want to do a pint night around public lands, and I'm like, I love this person, like let's do it. And just ask the organization, and they can get you the resources, they can get you the like, hey, that's awesome, you want to engage, here's talking points, here's things to do, here's what's happening in your county, kind of thing. And I think that in-kind donation, that volunteer donation, is as valuable, if not more valuable, than money as well. I know we're coming up on that hour there. I want to open it up. Are there questions? Do we have any that are coming in from Facebook Live, or do we have any that are in the audience right now? Maybe?
I have a question.
Yep.
So, sorry, is there someone else?
Oh, go for it.
Okay. This is my first year shooting my bow, and when I shoot, I tilt my wrist to the left. And so I'm wondering, like, I've had my husband and the guys we shoot with try to help me with my form, and I'm wondering if that's a strength issue.
Bring down your drawing, just a touch.
Bring it down.
Yeah.
So I don't have a what do you call it, an anchor point, because I think it's already too short. Like, I think it needs to be longer.
I use my knuckle right there, right behind your ear.
Okay.
And not only that, your string,
Touch
your nose every single time.
It feels odd, especially if you've been shooting it a little bit.
That, and if it's feeling uncomfortable, maybe even bring down your weight a little.
Okay.
Capital Sports would be happy to look at it.
Yeah, Capital Sports here, bring it in.
And we're also going to
Talk to her too.
We're going to be doing a lessons night here once a month.
Okay.
It's going to be posted on the website and Facebook.
Do you guys have like a certain night that you're going to be doing this? Just so you guys on Facebook Live.
Post it on the website,
on Capital Sports
website and Facebook.
Okay, so those of you listening, Capital Sports here in Helena is doing a once a month night for, is it just women? Or anybody? Archery lessons. Come, bring your bow, work out, like if you've got form issues or things like that, that will be posted on both the Facebook page and the website for Capital Sports in Helena, Montana.
Those are free.
there's someone.
It's free.
There's a question or a comment back there.
Yell.
So, I'm a member of a rattlesnake conservation group, and there is actually quite a mixture of hunters and non-hunters among us. And whenever we hear a story about, hunters in these places that hold rattlesnake roundups, supporting the roundups and going out and doing, they're good hunters. They follow all the laws. They may be part of several conservation groups, but come spring, they have no qualms about dumping gasoline all over the place to collect all of these snakes for gladiatorial blood sports.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, the hunters in that conservation group, have to basically do damage control with the people who are more on the fence about hunting. We have to explain to them, no, not all hunters like this. This is not a good example of hunting. And they're open-minded and willing to engage us in that. But my question is, how do we then turn to those hunters who don't necessarily support the conservation of non-game animals, even if they're indicator species, like the rattlesnake is? How do we engage them and help them to understand that they can't pick and choose their definition of conservation? That
That's a really
It's a
incredible
great
question. I wanna like restate it for those of you that may not have heard it. It's talking about how do we as hunters reach out to some of the maybe poor representation of hunters, the people that sort of pick and choose the ethics to follow when hunting, and how do you engage and talk to someone like that? I don't know that there's any right answer for that, and it was probably a case-by-case basis. It can be interesting to call someone out in that way. I know it can put the person that's doing the calling out in a strange position. The way that I would say is, again, always approach it with a very sort of respectful, hey, you and I both really care about what, maybe they're a mule deer hunter or an elk hunter or something, and this, in this question she's asking about people that were sort of mass killing rattlesnakes,
Non-game species.
non-game species, and making sure that to connect. I don't know how you change that. I feel
It's
like you
tough.
have to start talking about the value of a life.
I was going to say, sussing out their values.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's tricky because the rattlesnakes that's in some ways kind of an extreme case, right? You have coyote hunts, you have prairie dog hunts, you have
Exterminator hunts.
yeah, but in some cases, like the coyote, there's one that's been written up rather widely. It's in New York State, in upstate New York, and there are all these family traditions that are also wrapped up in those hunts, and it's a community thing.
How do you overcome that deep ingrained familial bond to this activity?
Right.
Is that even possible?
Right.
And it may
It's
not
tricky.
be I would say, and this is maybe naive and very hopeful, but it may not be something that you as an individual can actually change. It's not something you want to go after and talk to somebody about. But what I would say is be the example, and promote the example. Right now we're in this battle with hunting being a sort of sexy marketing tool.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a hunter, that's badass, and that's great that people look at that like that, but that immediately puts hunting as this thing that's cool to do. And as soon as it becomes something that's cool to do, regardless of the ethic that goes in it, be the person that talks about it. And if we're going to change the way the industry is, if we're going to change this sort of whack 'em and stack 'em mentality, it's going to come from you, the citizen, the personal hunter, and it's going to change one person by one person. You will run into people that have bad ethics. Pack your gun up, pack your bow up, and walk away from them. Don't engage. Don't give them power, but I would say that you're going to change it on a larger scale by being a good voice for it, and you're going to just sort of have to deal with the fact that some people don't do it right, and what you want to make sure that you are is that you are as vocal as they are. Because those people are going to be talking about how many things they killed or how much I did
hard.
this, and
That's a hard
the problem is that there's a lot of good hunters out there that are doing really great things that aren't talking about it. And the way that we are right now, you have to talk about it for people to know that it's happening. It's hard to do.
It is an occasion for public education, because one thing you can do, you may not get anywhere with the guys who are really into this sort of wholesale killing of snakes that have been disabled, but you can talk to other people about how that is not hunting.
Yeah,
that
that's not
seems
what it is.
way
And
more effective.
calling it
actually.
hunting
That's
is-
a very great point.
Yeah.
Seems way more effective.
Always come at conundrums and issues with a positive spin. Don't ever meet them head on. You don't want to draw the line in the sand. You want to come at them with a commonality. And that's the quickest way to get some, it's debate 101. Do we have some questions?
Yeah, so we got a Facebook question from Kelly Kallick. Sorry, Kelly, if I mispronounced your name. She wants to know if you ladies are planning any ladies hunting camps this fall. Just ladies going out and hunting.
That sounds
I
like a
sure
good idea.
wish we were. Yeah, I think with Artemis, eventually that may be something that we can think about and do. So if you are interested in doing that or leading one of those, plug into what Artemis is doing. But I myself don't have plans like that. Do any of you?
I used to host women's fishing groups, and just out of wanting more women friends. So, if anyone wants to go fish out of Livingston, hit me up.
I do want to say, for those of you that are listening in on Facebook, if you could see what we're seeing right now, we have a room full of women. It's awesome, and we're really excited to have these ladies here live and listening in. So thank you for those of you that showed up in person, and thank you for those of you on Facebook. I do know we're kind of at that section where we're going to wind down, but does anybody have any last minute comments, questions, anything there?
Kelly says she'll fish with you.
Yeah, all right. Got any fishing buddies? Well, thank you all for showing up. I'm so stoked to be sitting in a room full of badass hunting women. Artemis is 3-4 months old right now, and so we're still getting our strategic plan in order, but we are ready to get up and work for the voice in women and hunting and conservation and angling, and take that to a policy level, but also engage women who haven't learned to hunt or fish yet and want to. So we are a voice, we are really powerful, and we're only going to be powerful if we stick together in this and continue talking on this. Major thank you to Amanda, Michelle, and Mary for coming and sitting with me. I feel surrounded by these amazing women. And thank you for those of you that came to the archery clinic. Thank you, Catholic Church.